I want to talk about Italy now. Italy is about to explode. 39,000 years ago, massive mega volcanic eruptions in Italy sent Europe into a volcanic winter, and it led to the extinction of the Neanderthals. Worldwide destruction, by the way, darkened skies, widespread famine, total destruction, wiped out crops around the world. Not just in Italy and what was happening there, of course, but around the world. And guys, right now, the very same thing is getting close to happening in Italy at the exact spot. The exact same spot. And the Italian government is sending all sorts of mixed signals about this. But one thing is abundantly clear. Italy needs to start mass evacuations right now, or expect a huge loss of life thanks to a hotbed of volcanic activity. Thanks to 24 separate volcanoes that are showing dangerous signs of exploding. I mean, take a look at what's happening right now. This isn't just an Italy story, by the way. This is a worldwide event, which we'll explain here in a minute when you understand the context and how widespread this will be. It's not just about Italy. It's not just about Europe. Earthquakes have been hitting this region one after the other, showing signs of massive explosions coming. Here's just an Italian news report from the other night. Watch.
Questo che abbiamo trovato a terra stamattina, tutti gli espositori con la merce a terra,
Stores
qua è lungo il corridoio,
destroyed
sono tutte le
thanks to
batterie a
earthquakes.
terra, tutte capovolte.
Camera video, buildings rocked.
A Pozzuoli, Luigi ha il negozio di autoricambi di fronte a quello di Antonio, che sta guardando sul suo telefonino le foto delle
all over that region now, thanks to these earthquakes. That is incredibly commonplace. Tourists, maybe actually let me know in the comments below how many of you have just recently been in the waters of Italy, traveled to Italy recently, and have noticed something similar. But we're getting lots of reports of tourists who are saying there was something very odd going on. For instance, Daniel says, I'm currently in Italy, and I was in Carole. I hope I'm saying that right. When I was swimming, I saw bubbles rising up from the sea floor, strong smell of sulfur. Yeah. Get ready, folks, because it's coming. Now, going back to 1948, Billy Meyer published warnings that this was coming to Italy. He's published these in verifiable copyrighted materials in the 1940s and in the 1980s. That's why we've been tracking this story. He's written extensively about the coming destruction of Europe, and what he wrote about is happening right now. You can deep dive, by the way, into Billy Meyer if you want to, the Billy Meyer materials if you want to, and verify it for yourself. Don't just blow it off, but actually deep dive it. I think you'll be stunned. It'll blow your mind. Some of you are very familiar with the Billy Meyer materials. I'll see it in the chat and you'll point it out. Some of you might not be ready for that. That's okay. We're all at different stages of awakening and awareness and open-mindedness with these things. That's okay. If you're not into that part of the story, that's fine. Or you want to sort of block it out and compartmentalize it, then fine. Then just look at all of the news reports that have been coming out over the past few weeks confirming all of this data. It's coming to fruition. Here's a great YouTube channel I follow. Watch her.
Guys, panic in Naples, panic in Italy. Who's panicking? Of course, the residents are panicking again because they heard the roar again and everything was shaking at a high magnitude. I'll tell you what it was right away, but the tourists, they felt it in their hotel rooms, especially in the higher up hotel rooms. They were in panic because most of them are probably not used to this. There's a lot of tourists coming from other European countries, Germany, Austria, sort of thing. They're not used to earthquakes. And maybe some of them have heard about the potential supervolcano Campi Phlegraean and decided, despite the risk, still to go. But then you can imagine, then maybe you rethink your decision if you're in bed and it starts shaking. So not good what has happened. So before we talk about...
And then overnight, more earthquakes. Last night, you saw that map that she was showing of all the recent earthquakes, and that was just a few days ago. That was a few weeks ago. And overnight, again, more tremors, more earthquakes. Big earthquake just hit Portugal overnight, by the way, and hitting Europe. And, you know, most of the attention has been on this, right? The mother of all volcanoes, Mount Vesuvius there. But frankly, guys, like, this is the least of it, Mount Vesuvius. Because Italy right now is a hotbed of volcanic activity. The entire region is on fire and ready to burst. And this has been well documented. We'll get to sort of the government like hypocrisy on this in a second, but she was just referring to, of course, Comble Phlegraean. And am I saying that right? Comble Phlegraean. And this is the Phlegraean fields. It's hard to say because I stick them together. I'm not good with the Italian. But the Phlegraean fields, which have all of these volcanoes underneath and into the Gulf of Naples and on land, this whole area is a hotbed. And of course, the Washington Post today, Europe's most dangerous volcano rumbles, and Italians weigh the risk. As the Phlegraean Fields volcano awakens, scientists debate the peril posed by a monster thought to have caused the most violent eruption of prehistoric Europe. Yes, Europe destroyed before. And wiping out all of the Neanderthals 39,000 years ago. Like, you want to play with this? Okay. And that seems to be what the Italian government is doing right now. I want to quote the Washington Post today. A number of scientists are warning of possible tipping point, but no one more so than Giuseppe Mastrolorenzo, a senior researcher with Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology, who's engaged in a public fight with the agency that he serves, arguing it's not taking the threat seriously enough. He describes a worst-case scenario in which a deep fissure opens in the earth, spewing a mushroom cloud of noxious gas, superheated ash, pyroclastic material. At night, emissions would be wreathed in lightning bolts. At night, emissions would be wreathed in lightning bolts. The view of the coastline would be shrouded by a deadly black veil. In the aftermath, white-gray ash and rock would blanket the land. So here's the beautiful coastline today. Fly your pretty drone down this beautiful coastline. Want to go off to Ischia, beautiful island, or maybe Capri? You want to go off? Yeah, destroyed is what's coming. In other words, this entire region would be destroyed. He says even a small eruption would devastate and destroy the entire metropolitan area of Naples. 3 million people killed. But they're just ignoring it. This area has been the stage for more than 70 eruptions in the past 15,000 years, the worst, which included catastrophic environmental shifts. There's compelling evidence that the Phlegraean fields right now are waking up, ground deformation, which is a common occurrence, thousands of earthquakes, another warning sign, and the ominous rising of 2,000-year-old ruins. Oh, we didn't know where these ruins were before, and guess what? We can all see them now. They came out of the earth. Like something out of Indiana Jones or something. All of these ruins have just emerged from the ground. Yes, ruins that have been buried for millennia, now just shooting up out of the ground. Surfacing due to all this hypothermal forces right now. All of this points to one outcome: explosive volcanic activity. Why is the Phlegraean fields so uniquely perilous, though? Because it's not just one volcanic edifice there that we're talking about. It's not just Vesuvius. There's a massive caldera under the water and under that land. And there are huge warning signs: earthquakes, rising ground levels, changing fumarole, which are the vents in the ground that allow the steam. Those are all changing right now. And the Naples Observatory, they all know this. Here's the Naples Observatory. They know. They monitor all of this. And they've been sending warning signs. Airlines have been redirecting airline flights. Foreign offices issue volcano warning to Italy tourists over flight delays because people traveling near this area. So many of you who've been traveling, I see it here in the chat, who have been in this area know what's going on. The government, though, is sending these mixed signals. The national government is sending conflicting signals, quotes the Washington Post. On one hand, Rome last month imposed a temporary construction ban, and a leading minister called it criminal that people were ever allowed to settle in the shadow of such a threat to begin with. Yet Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has also appeared to incentivize staying in the area. She's given in to local politicians and championed a $1.2 billion euro redevelopment of a blighted waterfront at risk from the volcano, including a new urban park, land reclamation projects, new housing, new infrastructure. So she's encouraging people to move there and move their businesses there. Billions of dollars being spent. I mean, it needs it. I mean, I was recently in Naples, and it needs it. If you've been to the waterfront there, you know it needs it. but not right now, and maybe not ever again. And what people should be doing there is getting the hell out. So if you want to have just some context here and understand how devastating this will be, people think, oh, just Italy, it's just Italy. No, it's not just Italy. Because what happened in the 1816 year, the year without summer, this is an amazing book, by the way. I read it last year. It's called The Volcano That Darkened the World and Changed History. I encourage all of you, if you want to read it. It's fascinating. Really fascinating. Like if you're into sort of like Jared Diamond style books, you know, like Guns, Germs, and Steel, which is a great book. It's a fascinating look at the volcano that emerged in Indonesia, and people in America at the time, they were like, why are no crops growing in the United States? Why is it snowing in August in the United States? Oh, the volcano in Indonesia, and led to widespread famine around the world, throughout China, the United States, Europe. One volcano, and on a much smaller scale, went off, and no summer as a result of that. So you think 24 volcanoes in a region that has literally wiped away the Neanderthals and destroyed most of Europe many years ago. Just ignore it, I guess. Just ignore it, I guess. I'd love to hear from my Italian viewers how you feel about this. I'd love to hear from anyone who's been to that region recently and noticed something odd. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this.